Of course, the goal of a teacher is to teach. In order for this to occur, other matters must be present. The first to come to mind is that there must be one or more students, and that these students must have a desire to learn that which is being taught. But it must not be assumed that the subject matter being taught has any relationship to truth, however the word truth may be defined. There are many instances, though, when the students might demand that some authority be recognized. For instance, when teaching that agitation of a fluid results in increased internal fluid temperature, the standard tests for the matter can be brought to bear. Specifically, I would direct the attention here to teachers that profess to teach matters associated with God's Word, the King James Bible. And more specifically, I would have you consider those who present the principles of dispensationalism. Since dispensationalism serves as the linchpin for much that is taught in fundamental Baptist churches today, I certainly believe that such teachers should be pressured to present the authority or authorities behind their teaching. And if no authority can be found, it is certainly correct to state that such teachers lack intellectual honesty, or to put it bluntly, are simply liars. A dispensationalist will point out that dispensation is found in the Bible, but they are less prone to point out that the essential definition of dispensation, as far as they're concerned, is lacking. Though it is used 4 times, it is never used in the sense of a period of time. It is used as the act of dispensing, or that which is being dispensed. One of the 4 cases is interesting in that it uses the word in the sense of dispensing away. This is equivalent to a salesman who might say, "There's usually a shipping charge to be included, but we'll dispense with that." But is it possible that the definition of the word included a period of time during the time period when the KJV was being translated? No, it is not. The 1828 Webster's Dictionary did not include such a definition. To look for one who could be called a dispensationalist before John Nelson Darby and C.I. Scofield would be equivalent to a search for a motorcycle mechanic. This is not to say that such a person could not be sought by a description rather than a name, but the question remains, why did it take 2 men, Darby and Scofield, to come up with these notions almost 2,000 years after the crucifixion? It might be pointed out that modern dictionaries usually include for dispensation the meaning of a period of time. This is true, however, only for dictionaries that were published after the publication and wide acceptance of Scofield's reference Bible. The problems inherent with Darby-Scofield dispensationalism might not be immediately apparent. It would be ridiculous to argue with the notion that Noah's flood marked a change in God's relationship with his creation. What would be wrong, then, with recognizing other such events and then using such events to describe certain periods in history? Anyone with access to a Scofield Reference Bible can read that Scofield defined 7 such time periods, as he saw them, in the world's history. You might see these time periods as excellent mnemonic aids in the study of the Bible. The problem did not arise in the recognition of these time periods. It arose when these 2 heretics used time periods as springboards for their strange and unscriptural theology. They did not stop at a justifiable recognition of these periods, but went on to give their personal understandings as to the causes for the periods. Each period, they argued, exhibited man's failure to obey God in some respect, and ended when God realized that his plan had failed, forcing him to proceed to his backup plan. The next of Scofield's dispensations was then begun. Of course, this is not the God of the Bible, but is instead the God which Darby and Scofield created. You should understand that the flesh appears to have no limits in these imaginings. For instance, Scofield opined that the keeping of the law was, during its allotted time period, capable of bringing salvation. Schofield then saw at least 3 different means by which salvation could be attained. The private lives of these scoundrels are readily available for your perusal, if you are so inclined. Suffice it to say that, with the exception of such things as language skills, there is nothing worthy of emulation. So, why did Darby and Schofield introduce this false teaching of dispensationalism when they lacked any authority for doing so? It is simply because this teaching is a linchpin, an absolute necessity to the introduction of other false teachings. This displays the extent of the devil's influence over these men. I realize that I have concluded this article without a single appeal to the ultimate authority found in the Bible. I have not quoted a single verse. By applying a fabricated meaning to the word dispensation, no Bible verse is applicable. If this devilish deception can be successfully foisted upon a large portion of the Christian community, the devil is then free to establish, upon this foundation, an entire false theology. Unfortunately, this is what happened. Today it is extremely difficult to find an independent Baptist church which is not dispensational, which is not comprised of Christian Zionist warmongers, and which does not deny the 2nd chapter of 2 Thessalonians, teaching instead that Christ's return is imminent. In other words, some of the heresies of the 19th century retain a firm hold on many churches of the 21st century.